2022 BMW i4. Is it the electric-powered luxury car to buy? That's what we're going to find out. Welcome to Car Corner, where we help you, the consumer, master the process of car buying and car ownership. In this video, we're going to take an in-depth look at the BMW i4. In addition to going over its performance, driving experience, and value for money, I'm also going to compare the i4 against similar electric cars like the Polestar 2 and the Tesla Model 3. We'll also see how the i4 compares against BMW's own 3 Series and 4 Series to see whether it makes sense to go fully electric over gas. So to find out if the BMW i4 is the electric luxury car to have, make sure to stick around until the end of this video. And if you enjoy and get value out of this video, make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. I post 2 videos a week, always straight to the point, valuable car buying advice designed to help you, the consumer. So the first thing to know about the BMW i4 is that it's available in 2 basic versions, the eDrive40 and the M50. The entry-level eDrive40 is powered by a single motor on the rear wheels that produces 335 horsepower and 317 pound-feet of torque. It also has a pretty impressive driving range of around 300 miles or 480 kilometers. And then you have the next up M50, which adds a second motor on the front wheels, giving you all-wheel drive and having a total system output of 536 horsepower and 586 pound-feet of torque. Unfortunately though, there is a small trade-off for having all of that extra power and all-wheel drive, which is a shorter driving range. The M50 is able to travel up to around 250 miles or 400 kilometers on one charge, which is still pretty good, but not as good as the base model eDrive40. Having said that though, if you want serious performance, then the M50 is no question the one to have. The acceleration this car is capable of is absolutely mind-blowing. You just plant your foot down and... oh, wow! That's 0 to 60 in just 3.5 seconds, making it as fast as a Tesla Model 3 Performance, or even BMW's own M3, which is pretty astonishing. Now of course, unlike an M3 or even an M340i, which have that iconic inline 6-cylinder engine which makes a really nice sound, you don't have anything like that with the i4. Instead, with the i4 you get this synthetic speaker-generated sound which, take a listen. It does sound pretty neat, but obviously it's no replacement for a real engine though. Having said that though, although BMW's 6-cylinder engine in the M340i does sound great, BMW's 4-cylinder engines are really nothing all that special, so compared to something like a 330i or a 430i with a 4-cylinder turbo, this is something I'd be more than happy to live with. Something to note about the i4 is that it shares the exact same platform as both the 3 Series and 4 Series. So the i4 is the electric version of the 4 Series, just like the upcoming i7 is going to be the electric version of the 7 Series, which is a trend that's likely going to continue with the future 5 Series and 3 Series models too. And because the i4 shares the same platform as the 430 and the M440i, it has very good handling just like those cars too. Even though it does weigh around 1,000 pounds more than an M440i, all of that weight is very low to the ground thanks to a very low center of gravity, so you get virtually no body roll. And like other BMWs, you do get various drive modes, including a sport mode which gives you firmer steering and firmer suspension for a sportier feel. And with that sport mode activated, this is a great handling car. It feels incredibly sharp and responsive with excellent balance too. Much like a regular 3 Series or 4 Series, it's quite fun to toss around, which is something I wasn't exactly expecting for an electric car like this. Compared to something like a Polestar 2 or a Model 3, there's no question that this is a lot more fun to drive. And when you do want to tone things down and go back to comfort mode, it actually rides quite well. I mean, it still is a little bit on the firm side, but that is to be expected from a BMW. One neat feature that I do really like about the i4 is something called adaptive regenerative braking. Unlike other electric cars where you can only switch between different modes, the i4 has an adaptive mode where you can get more regen braking during stop-and-go city driving, but when you drive out on the highway, it'll automatically switch to coasting, which is pretty neat. It's also worth mentioning that the i4 does have reasonably quick charging times. Its 200 kilowatt charging system allows it to charge from 0 to 80% in just under 1 hour. Or if you plug it into a 240 volt level 2 charger, you can get a full charge in around 8 hours, which is pretty decent. I've actually been really enjoying my week with this i4. This is a great driving car, and it's also a very practical one too, thanks to that very handy hatchback body style. The interior space of the i4 is identical to both the 3 Series and 4 Series, making it a fairly roomy car. But the best part for me is that because it is a hatchback, you get a surprising amount of cargo space, which is a really nice bonus. The rest of the interior though is identical to any other 3 Series or 4 Series. The infotainment system consists of a pair of large curved display screens running BMW's latest eDrive user interface. On the plus side, I think there's little doubt that BMW's latest iDrive is now one of the very best user interfaces in the luxury market. The graphics for the screens are amazing, it's incredibly responsive, and all of the tablets or widgets, which can be controlled through either touchscreen or using the iDrive control knob, work very well too. That being said, there is an issue with this system, which is that you have to almost entirely rely on using either the iDrive control knob or the touchscreen to control almost everything, which can be a little bit distracting while driving. Unfortunately, BMW has now eliminated the normal buttons for the climate controls and the 8 preset buttons, which were standard on both the 3 Series and 4 Series. Which I think is a real shame, because having all those buttons made this a very straightforward and functional interior when compared to a lot of other luxury cars. That being said, for the most part, this is a very well designed and high quality interior. I'd say it's pretty much on par with the interior of the Polestar 2 and a good notch above the Tesla Model 3, which tends to be pretty hit and miss when it comes to its quality. The i4 also stacks up very well against its rivals when it comes to the pricing. The i4 has a starting price of around $57,000 for the eDrive40 before options, and that can climb to over $80,000 for the M50. In terms of pricing then, that's pretty comparable against both a Polestar 2 or a Tesla Model 3. It's also fairly comparable against a regular 3 Series or a 4 Series. And there are other benefits to choosing the i4 aside from just the pricing. For example, because the i4 is entirely electric, it is going to have a lot less maintenance when compared to a gas-powered BMW. Unlike a 3 Series, you're never going to have to do any oil changes or spark plug changes. All you have to do is an inspection once in a while, and maybe change the air filter now and then. That's pretty much it. And I think the simplicity of an all-electric drivetrain is going to likely add a level of reliability that BMW hasn't really had in the past. BMWs have historically been known for having all kinds of serious reliability issues outside of warranty, especially with the 4-cylinder and the V8 engines. But with an all-electric car like the i4, you're never going to need to worry about those kind of issues if you want to keep one of these long-term, which is pretty comforting to know. Instead of expensive engine issues, the only thing that could really go wrong with the i4 are the electronics, which I guess is to be expected from almost any electric car. So not only is the i4 going to save you a lot of money in gas, but it could potentially save you quite a bit of money in operating costs too. And saving money is not the only reason to go electric. BMW wants you to know that they made a very strong effort to make all of their electric cars as environmentally friendly as possible. For example, the plant where the i4 is made is powered entirely by renewable energy, and 99% of the waste is fully recycled. BMW is also adamant on minimizing their use of rare earth elements. The electric battery pack, for example, contains less than 10% cobalt, and the electric motors, which are a brand new BMW proprietary design, contain no rare earth elements at all, which is very impressive. BMW also went with a lot of environmentally friendly materials when constructing the i4. My favorite piece of recycled material has to be the carpeting. The nylon used in the carpeting comes from fishing nets, which were recycled from the sea. I have to admit that is pretty cool. As a total package then, BMW really did knock it out of the park with the i4. I honestly wasn't sure what to expect with the i4, but now having driven it, I honestly think that this is a more desirable electric car than either a Polestar 2 or even a Tesla Model 3. I also think that this is a way nicer car and way more fun to drive than BMW's own 330i or 430i with the 4-cylinder engines. If you compare it against the 6-cylinder engine, however, in the M440i or the M340i, that might be a different story because you just don't get the same sound and character that you get with those cars. For the more traditional BMW driving enthusiast who's looking for more engagement and that ultimate driving experience, I think the 6-cylinder models are still the ones to have. But for almost everyone else, especially for those who are just looking for a nice car to drive every day, I honestly think that the i4 is the winner. And you don't necessarily need to spend the extra money in order to get the M50. If you're willing to sacrifice all-wheel drive, the base model eDrive40 is still going to give you plenty of performance, it's going to have much better driving range, and it's also going to be a lot cheaper too. Honestly, I think that's the one that I would go for. Whichever way you go though, there's no question the BMW i4 is an amazing electric car, and the best alternative to the Tesla Model 3 that you can buy. So let me know what you think of the 2022 BMW i4. Would you buy one over a Tesla or a Polestar? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. You can also take a look at some of my other car videos by checking out these links over here. Make sure to follow me on TikTok and Instagram, and if you need additional car buying advice, recommendations, or help with getting a great deal on your next new car purchase, make sure to check out carhelpcanada.com. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.